When we write melodies and harmonies, a good number of us probably find that we are drawn almost instinctively to intervals such as thirds, sixths, perfect fourths, and perfect fifths. It's possible that the tritone is one of the last intervals that come to mind because people tend to dismiss it as a sound that's nothing but tense and uncomfortable to the ear. The tritone, on the other hand, is anything but forgettable. It has a long history and a great deal of potential to convey a variety of emotions, transcending the one-dimensional reputation that it has garnered. In this video, we will discuss what a tritone is, its impact on the development of music, and the tritone's surprisingly sensitive side that isn't nearly as evil. Are you prepared? Let's dive in. What precisely is a tritone? The tritone is a musical interval that consists of two notes that are separated by a total of 6 semitones, which is equivalent to 3 adjacent whole tones. Only once, between the 7th and 4th scale degrees, can a tritone be formed diatonically within a major scale. This is the only place in the scale where this occurs. A tritone may also be referred to as an augmented fourth or a diminished fifth, depending on the context in which it is used and the way in which it is notated, because it is right in between a perfect fourth and a perfect fifth, which are two of the most consonant-sounding intervals after unisons and octaves. One of the reasons why the interval sounds so dissonant is because it is right in between, being a perfect fourth and a perfect fifth. In the course of history, the tritone has garnered quite a reputation for itself as a result of the instability that characterizes the interval. In fact, there is writing on the tritone that spans many centuries. However, we shouldn't forget that before the invention of keyboard instruments, there was no such thing as universal tuning, and instruments were tuned in a variety of different ways. As a matter of fact, was an extremely important contributor to the formation of modern harmony. Did you know that the occurrence of accidents did not occur in a linear fashion? The first ones to be created were an F sharp and a B flat, and they were developed in an effort to address the issue of the tritone in musical notation. The history of the tritone, also known as the devil's interval. Because of their unsettling quality, tritones were avoided in many forms of ecclesiastical singing as early as the early Middle Ages. Having said that, the interval received its first clear criticism from the Italian music theorist Guido of Arezzo. He purposefully organized a collection of notes in his hexachordal system to eliminate any possibility of a tritone occurring. Specifically, he chose a B instead of a B to avoid a conflict between an F and a B. This dislike for the tritone persisted all the way into the 18th century when a specific title emerged that referred to the ominous sound, Diabolos in Musica, which translates directly to the devil's interval. Even though Guido's hexachordal system had been out of favor for quite some time by this point, the tritone was still considered by many to be an undesirable sound that should be avoided. This belief was followed especially strictly by the church, which was a significant authority in music at the time, because of the fact that many of the most prominent composers of the time were writing pieces that were not religious in nature. The church has made it abundantly clear that from their perspective, music should be an experience that is both beautiful and moving. Anything unattractive or jarring should not be used to praise the Lord, and certainly not an interval that is commonly associated with the name of the devil. The truth versus the lies. There are tales that circulate about singers and composers who tried to include the devil's interval in their work, and as a result, they were punished or even cast out of their communities as a result of their actions. Unfortunately, these are largely unfounded myths that have no real documentation to support them, despite the fact that it is an interesting thought to entertain. Having said that, the fact that such stories exist is evidence of the tritone's enormously contentious presence throughout the annals of music history. The music of the devil. In the past, the organization of music was done through modes rather than keys. Because the modes only used the white keys on a keyboard, the only way to play a different scale or a different pattern of tones and semitones was to begin on a different note. Since the modes only used the white keys, there was no other way to do this. Each mode featured a distinct flavor and personality that was easily recognizable. There was a widely held consensus regarding which modes, such as Ionian and Lydian, were best suited for happy music, and which modes were best suited for music that dealt with more melancholy topics. Every note of the scale could be played using the system of modes until you reached the note B. This scale was known as a Locrian mode, and it was the only one in which the fifth degree of the scale is not a perfect fifth. Rather, it is an augmented fourth, which is a tritone that is not allowed. This went against everything that music seemed to stand for, and as a result, it was given the moniker Diabolos in Musica, which translates to the devil in music. The Locrian mode was only employed very infrequently. Composers who were interested in using this final mode started experimenting with the difficult B to F interval in an effort to make the scale sound better. Some composers lowered the pitch of the B until it was a perfect fifth below the F, while others raised the pitch of the F until it was a perfect fifth above the B. This resulted in the creation of the first two accidentals, which were the B flat and the F sharp. Why does the tritone have such a revolting sound? Professor of music psychology at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama, John Sloboda, explained that the tritone is particularly unsettling because the human brain is hardwired to find harmony and symmetry in music. Sloboda cited the following examples to illustrate this point. When we hear something dissonant, it gives you a little bit of an emotional frisson because it is strange and unexpected, and that's why we find it interesting. After reaching the bottom of a staircase, that fails to mention that the very last step is missing. In either case, this proportion appears to be grossly unbalanced to the human ear. The tritone, however, has made a name for itself and amassed a lot of wealth in the world of alarms and emergency sirens. This is the one piece of good news. Is there any truth to the rumor that the church forbade it? It is commonly believed that music containing a tritone was forbidden to be played in churches due to the tritone's supposed connection to the devil. But despite how juicy this rumor about the tritone might be, there is no evidence to support the fact that this ever took place. It is more likely that those who composed for the church adhered to stringent rules of harmony, and that these rules forbade the use of the augmented fourth for musical reasons, rather than because they believed that it was the devil dwelling in music. So it is surely pure evil then. You could say that the tritone is a little bit of a scene stealer. The experimental, the deviant, and those working on the darker end of the musical spectrum have all taken care of it like a foster child over the years. To label it as evil, however, would be a simplistic assessment. Harmonies, which are, technically speaking, simple ratios that are easy to digest and understand, are favored by human ears. It's just a simple fact. Simply put, ears have a harder time making sense of complicated fractions, which is perfectly fine because not everyone is cut out for math. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great content. See you in the next video.